Villainhood, villainy, evilininess. These might not sound like words for a Stardew playthrough, but today, it's time to thrive. I'll be escorting corporate tyranny to this little village in the valley, and becoming the grandest capitalist this side of the Gem Sea. Why, you may ask, would anyone do something so heinous? Let me explain. This right here. If I'm gonna 100% this game, evil will be required. And to be a proper villain, I had to make some adjustments. Villain goatee? Check. Villain hat? Check. Villain accessory? Check. Now I'm a proper economically inclined individual. I made sure to make a character with the trappings of a glorious villain, and I walked onto this farm ready to take over the valley. And so my second ever playthrough of this game began with the 15 parsnip.
Hey? I thought I was gonna get parsnip seeds. What's this all about?
I'd chosen the new farm type for 1.6, the Meadowlands, which meant I started with a coop and 2 baby chicks. Sounds like a capitalistic opportunity if you ask me. I spent the rest of the first day introducing myself to all my future loyal customers, buying my first parsnips, and getting to know my new best friend.
Morris, Joja Customer Satisfaction Representative.
I planted my seeds by night, cleared room for more in the future, and scored level 1 foraging. My first everything chest went down to compensate for the dreadfully tiny inventory, and I started to have some technical difficulties with my beloved monocle. The local fisherman blessed me with his hand-me-down rod, and I fished next to Elliot's shack till he popped out of that cabin long enough for me to finish the Meet Everybody quest, and to give him some coal to prove I knew how to win friends. I fished, villainously, at the mountain lake for the rest of the day, hoping to score enough G for the fiberglass rod. I went back at one point to sell stuff, but that didn't go as planned. I spent some time chopping trees for a chest, so that didn't happen again. And I sold everything just in case. Lake chest active. And while I slept, the gamer dreams brought me
Level 1 fishing. Level 2 fishing.
The chicks were hens now, and revenue stream number 2 was active. Eggs, plus a little quest money for picking my first one up.
Anyway, I'm gonna have to give me some glue.
That monocle was giving me trouble. I'd nabbed enough fishies to score the next business investment.
The fiberglass rod. Very good.
I spent the rest of my money on bait, so I didn't have to worry about losing it overnight. And fished in this blessed rain for catfish. And look, a shad on day 3. How about that? And then...
Oh, not now. Not. Bye, monocle. Bye. I'm gonna catch you anyway. Catfish!
Business is good, folks. I even managed to yoink an earth crystal out of the water, which will be great for a mayo machine. I found this fried egg in a trash can on the way home, and grabbed some spring onions and enough forage to make some spring seeds to hopefully ramp up the foraging level quick. Level 3 fishing, and some cash. I bought some kale to help raise the good old farming level so I could get mayonnaise and sprinklers as fast as possible, and finally took a look at my chickens' names.
Anne and potpourri?
And then the monocle fell again. Chad gave her the name of Lindsay while I was busy fishing the day away, so drop a hi Lindsay in the comments so she doesn't get lonely. Extra points if you use this thing. The fishing also yielded 2 rubies in this chest. Yeah, Lindsay just fell again. And I also got...
What?
Streamer luck for sure.
Fire quartz? They put something in the water, I think.
Jojo wants me to succeed. I can smell it. Level 4 fishing. My cat arrived on day 5. But it wasn't a black cat because I may or may not have had to restart during the intro because I forgot to re-enable the music. Anyway, Dudley will have to do for now. Joja finished their good work by the mines, so after I'd finished farm duties, featuring these rice shoots, I began my journey of plundering wealth from the earth. But I'd spent so much energy on the watering and hoeing that I couldn't even clear down to floor 5. And then I tried to pick up my chest toollessly to conserve energy.
What? That does cost energy. I didn't know.
So I walked home really slowly. Level 1 farming is good though. The local blacksmith threw some blueprints at me, and my dear mother sent me some villainous cookies before I went to expand the empire. Welcome Evil Zach and Evil Jill to the estate. Then it was back to plundering, where this time I made it all the way to level 7 before the energy dried up. But with this new furnace, the wealth was due to expand. I threw down some basic retaining soil I'd found whilst plundering, and spent the night gathering fiber, since that doesn't cost energy. Level 1 mining. Sweet, sweet rain fell on day 7, so it was time to get tactical. I mined up the last 2 copper ore I needed for the first pickaxe upgrade, had Clint get to work on it, and spent the rest of the day hunting for sweet, sweet profits. I mean, fish. Fish. And also, somehow, these in a chest.
Because that is how we capitalists thrive. We pull pretty rocks out of the water. I've decided. What the f?
Yeah, I have no idea. But liquid capital is liquid capital, baby. Day 8's energy was used on chopping non-oak trees, because I need wood now and oak resin later, and of course water and my future money. I picked a little grass and snagged level 2 foraging. The chickens were all adults the next day, so my egg profits had officially doubled.
Nothing screams capitalism like eggs.
Lewis introduced me to this ratty old building with weird puffballs in it. Kinda nasty to be honest. Let's go sell it to Joja for some profits. Oh, that's pricey. Let's come back when I can afford that. Clint handed me my lovely new copper pick, so I went back to plunder in the depths for riches with which to exploit this town and scored some new leather boots. I also decided to read this scroll so I could have a chat with the wizard before we sold this rundown old thing, because I wasn't sure how I'd meet him otherwise. And of course, I told Linus to stop digging in people's trash, because those are my profits you're looting there, buddy. Level 2 mining. Most of the farm was ready on day 10, so I sold my newly grown kale, and made the rest of my forage, into spring seeds. I got that forest magic for pretending I cared about the community center for a day.
It's bad form as an entrepreneur to decline opportunities for growth.
I had a super pleasant mining experience, cleared level 15, and cleared some more of the farm with my remaining energy.
Ooh, level 2 farming.
And level 1 combat. That means I can make these and start turning these eggs into mayonnaise. Also, Linus definitely stole the goods from these cans. How dare he? I donated this fire quartz to snag a little quest money, turned in my axe for a copper upgrade, and had another lovely time in the mines where I scored a new fancy sword, and I barely made it home in time.
Can't stand between a capitalist and his bed, neither. Level 3 mining, baby.
And level 2 combat. Glorious rain fell on day 12, so once I doubled up on mayo machines, I spent most of the day processing eggs and ore, in between reeling in catfish and algae. The gamer dreams graced me with level 3 farming and level 5 fishing, where I chose the Fisherberg. The glorious profits had racked up to 5 digits at this point, just in time for this thing. Time to invest. I bought 133 strawberry seeds, and I could smell the money already. I'd given up on the monocle for this particular stream if you hadn't already noticed, because Lindsay had an attitude about staying in my eye. But that didn't stop me from destroying the dreams of the children of the town for this sweet straw hat. By night, I got busy tilling the soil for strawberry adventures. The first big egg showed up on day 14, just in time for me to have caught up on mayoing the other ones. And Chat made a suggestion.
Put the hat in your cat. Oh, why didn't I think of it? Wait, can you actually put hats on cats? Does this actually work? Oh.
Villain man is happy now. I need more cats and more hats, stat. I retrieved my Kappa Choppa and snacked on leeks for enough energy to plant and water as many strawberries as I could fit in this future sprinkler-friendly layout. I also made a bunch of basic fertilizer to hopefully get more quality strawberries out of the yield, and just before sleep, I scooped up this rice. My tactical investments paid off the next morning as the glorious rain fell once again. Oh yeah, this dude also started growing mushrooms in my cave. Sure thing, buddy. I had 43 more seeds, and it was raining, so I decided to expand the farmland into areas that wouldn't soon be sprinklered in the hopes of maximizing my profits. With all those in the ground, now seemed the best time to have Clint upgrade the hoe. I then went to the mines to hopefully get to the iron levels so I could make those sprinklers. I got really hung up early on and didn't make it to level 30 till 4:20 p.m. But the luck quickly turned and levels 35 and 40 blew by like a breeze. And here I was at 650. Much better. Down here I could plunder for iron, and I even scored this monster compendium out of a slime, a coffee bean out of this guy, and these thermal boots from a barrel. I made a new furnace with the bounty and started smelting some tasty iron. I ended this big day grabbing some last-minute leaks and having a nap with my chickens. I picked things up in the second stream with a brilliant suggestion from chat to use eyelash glue to glue Lindsay to my face. Let's see how that works out. Some of the forage was ready to go, and the mayo was grooving. So once I'd watered all these lovely straws and new forage, I spent the day digging for iron and ladders. I barely made it home in time for these gamer dreams right here. I picked more grown forage in day 17's rain, sowed the seeds of more minor profits, and went catfishing, featuring this bubble spot till the obligatory night-night. I started off day 18 with a new philosophy.
You only get to get gifts from the man if the man gets to get gifts from you.
In other words, I'm not going to get hearts with anyone unless they could benefit my economic prosperity in return. I sold yesterday's river haul and retrieved my new hoe, the tool, from Clint, and had him start on a steel pickaxe for me. More forage for levels, more watering by hand, a new scarecrow to fend off the varmints eating my strawberries, and a birthday gift for old Pam. Don't be confused. Remember the philosophy. I want her to send me batteries in the mail. I only want her for her batteries. On day 19, it was time to make big money moves. It was time to buy buy a Joja membership. My new best friend Morris told me things would get shaken starting tomorrow. Thanks, buddy. What a genuine looking guy. And I mean, really, what was I gonna do with this nasty old building anyway? Once I'd run off this pest I saw, I spent the rest of this rainy day fishing for revenue once again. The watering was once again brutal on day 20, requiring me to eat a whole gold cauliflower just to get through it. I gave my other one to Jody for a little quest cash, retrieved my new steel pick, and investigated Joja. Yeah, I gotta warn you real quick. My streaming microphone settings got really messed up starting here, so my voice and clips from the streams might sound a little rough until about noon on day 39. Anyway, look how weird this place is. This is weird. Okay, so how do I... Apparently, I could now speak to Morris, who would let me pay for all the upgrades the Junimos usually do, except friendship. Right. Okay. I mean, perfect. I didn't need any friendship anyway. I'm too evil for that. If you're doing the math, I need 135,000 G to complete this whole thing. Let's get to capitalisming. Well, I'm a certified Joja crony now, baby. The rest of the day's capitalisming was searching for iron and coal because I really need sprinklers. I also found this forest sword down here, which was a nice upgrade to this rinky-dink steel blade. Level 4 farming and level 3 combat. More watering, which took till 2 p.m. I brought my sprinkler total to 8 today, and the first preserves jar arrived. Well, bam. I spent more time hunting iron and made it to level 65 that night. On day 22, we got berries, baby. We about to expand our capitalistic adventures further as a Joja disciple. Harvesting and watering was quite an affair, but I ended up with this many strawberries. I made a second jar to make more jelly, but I knew I wouldn't be able to jelly them all. The mines called to me for more copper, and I answered once again. I chopped some trees by night, during which I found the cave for this farm type, stocked with a Dehydrator. The Gamer Dreams brought me to level 5 farming, where I snagged the Tiller perk. The sprinkler count reached 12 at this point, but that still ain't enough. The other strawberries had matured, so I got another lovely bounty today. I started dehydrating some of the neutral quality strawberries with this lucky find, and witnessed Morris's epic corporate tactics. What a legend. So, the old community center is gone. I guess times change, and good things come and go. Yet I can't help but feel a sense of loss. I don't care how evil I'm supposed to be right now, that hurts a little. I started checking the prices of strawberry qualities to see what my most economic choice was for their liquidation, and went for more juicy copper mining. The Capitalist Dreams brought level 6 farming with the awesome quality sprinkler recipe, and level 5 mining, where I decided to try the miner perk, since I'd heard of a different, but very useful, level 10 perk on this route. The spirits were very happy on spring 24, so I executed some corporate tactics. I added 2 more sprinklers, did not water the plants, and did not go to the flower dance. I wanted to save energy for the mines, where I crushed levels 65 through 90. I scored the obsidian edge, but quickly found this Yeti tooth to replace that on the next floor. And I took a nap on level 94, where I dreamed about level 4 combat. I kept up production with my meager 3 stations here, watered the many unsprinkled crops once again, had some of the best drink ever, and went a plundering once more, because I really need to get that skull key before spring is over. I scored the star drop on level 100, which left me with thoughts of evil. I came across this steel falchion on level 102, an even better choice than the Yeti tooth. I passed out like any true capitalist on level 105, dreaming avidly of level 6 mining. I harvested the last of the forage on day 26, along with another half bounty of strawberries, thanks to my questionable watering patterns, and spent the rest of the day chopping down trees villainously. I added 6 more sprinklers greedily, and dreamed of level 7 farming and level 4 foraging diabolically. I must say this watering by hand thing does not feel like very big money moves, but the strawberries just kept coming, and thankfully, I finally finished up the basic sprinklers, almost. I threw my pickaxe at Clint and demanded he turn that thing gold, and started doing some math. I needed to buy the bus repair, which was 40,000 G, and these products would bring my liquid capital to 38,000 and change. With mushrooms from the cave, a random quest about wood, some well-timed jelly, some things I'd left in my mine chest due to the still very tiny inventory problem, and even the insect head from Gil, the money poured in, and I was now wealthy enough to make a proper investment. Somehow, there were still a few more strawberries to collect, and with my new riches, I went to see my best friend Morris. I invested my hard-earned funds into the bus repair option, and headed home to see how I could make this all worth it. And that meant drastic, big money moves. I sold everything, absolutely everything I could stomach selling, even a few more things to Marlin, because I'm gonna need every penny I can get. And of course, I fished for as many extras to add to those those pennies as I could reel in, and was able to sell all this before sleep. And would you look at that? So that's what that looks like.
It's just smacking it.
This is how much money I managed to scrounge up. Summer's here, and oh man, does that farm look terrible. But just you wait, it'll look great in a sec. I sold today's goods to Pierre, and picked up my new gold pickaxe, which is really befitting of a capitalist, I must say. Then it was time to use the bus, which finally whisked me to this lovely desert, where I could finally speak with Sandy.
I'm here on behalf of the corporation to acquire at least, I don't know, this many starfruit seeds. All right, thank you very much.
56 starfruit seeds ain't half bad. I put them bad boys in the ground and admired my bright future. I popped open this spot.
Elano Nisni Hitam Du Sito. Listen here, I don't speak dwarf. I don't speak bomb boy. Oh, I speak American, all right? So you gonna have to get with the times. I speak in entrepreneur.
I spent the rest of this very displeased Spirits Day trying to clear the last 15 levels for the Skull Key, but ran out of energy entirely on floor 117. I dreamed of level 5 combat on that cave floor, and tried the combat perk I hadn't chosen my first time around. I wanted more seeds to fill the farm, and chat suggested blueberries, or bloobs, as they called them, so I snagged 24 of those. Once these were planted, I realized I had more mayo, and sold that for 13 more. Razor thin profit margins, folks. I pushed the last 5 levels of the mine to secure that Skull Key, so we can now get down to business on Skull Cavern efforts. I planted a little squash I'd found down here, and this coffee bean up here, and spent the last hours of the day clearing up some of the farm. I dreamed of level 5 foraging, where I chose Gatherer, and level 7 mining. I spent day 31 mining ingredients for those quality sprinklers, and found this book that gives a little farming experience, some helpful solar essence, and this coffee bean I planted at the last second. I sold the other proceeds from the plundering to secure enough blueberry seeds to fill the currently sprinklered zone of the farm, gandered in this sewer grate for potential profits, and finally grabbed Robin's axe for a little extra cash. I could now justify purchasing the first inventory upgrade.
Finally!
That's right, I've been using Tiny Boy inventory this whole time. These extra 12 slots are going to be useful for capitalism. I made my first quality sprinklers, 6 of them.
Now it's getting good.
I also made this recycling machine for all the trash I'd saved from fishing. Planted some squash for my new sprinklers to water, and went to farm up more copper, which went well, mostly.
No way! No! Ah, you little... No! The profits! The profits!
With that ore, I started working on more furnaces to flesh out the smelting side of the empire, and finally got enough clay to make this thing for my evil money-making friends. I went hunting for more copper, during which I found this house plant. I also found this club, which I learned does AoE damage when you right-click. And then this happened.
Oh my... What? Stop! What the heck?
Yeah, so...
Did I just pull 2 prismatic shards out of the same larva?
Yes, I did. I did not know this was possible.
What was bro incubating? What?
So, that clip right there is why I warned you about the stream microphone being messed up. This plant was officially part of history after that absolutely unreal moment, and I was shocked to learn I already had one of them.
I found your twin.
The furnace count reached 8 today, and the copper smelting began. I used it to start making these tree tappers finally, because I gotta get oak resin. I took a trip to the desert with my newly found glory.
Hello, Pillars 3. Would you mind? Oh yeah.
And now I have this thing.
The Galaxy Sword.
And since I've got it, I may as well try my hand at the caverns now. I added this during stream so you guys can see the level while I'm mining. And soon after, this slime, or barrel, dropped my very first ring of the playthrough, an immunity band.
Dude, I'm starting to think streamer luck is real.
I managed to score my first iridium of the playthrough, and finished the run at level 26, with enough time to snag some desert totems from this lady. At home, I made my second ring of the playthrough, so I could finally see at night. Level 6 combat, and level 8 mining. Mr. Chi dropped me a quest in the mail about reaching level 25 in the Skull Cavern, but upon accepting, the quest completion sound played, and the quest was nowhere to be found.
It cleared it immediately! Get wrecked, Mr. Chi!
You may have noticed I also forgot to turn off the mine level showing thing I made. I'm a real good streamer, I swear. That silo was done, so I started clearing more farm space and getting hay at the same time, because multitasking is economical. I made sure to block off some sections with fences so I didn't lose my lovely bluegrass while scything. And I picked up my first iridium ingot. I then started trying to work out some capitalist tactics for my non-quality sprinklers in this new area, since I'd be decommissioning them from that first farm area soon. You know, kinda like this. The next day, 10,000 G spilled out of my mailbox from Mr. Chi, all thanks to a larva spitting out 2 prismatic shards. I love this game. Mom sent me a whole cake to celebrate my economic prosperity, and I added more tappers to more oak trees around the farm. I went a plundering for iron and coal this time, which was a lot easier with the galaxy sword. All 4 of my evil hens were making big eggs at this point, and I smelted a lot more quartz and iron for more sprinkler production. I also did some farm clearing, during which I found this bridge to this small northern section of the farm. I had Clint start slapping steel on my axe once I'd completely run out of energy, and started talking with my buddy about which Joja upgrades were going to be the most important to fund first. I made this dedicated resources chest, and polished off the quality sprinklers for this part of the farm. The rest of the non-quality ones made their way over here to what was to be their new home, and chat taught me I could put torches on sprinklers. I'd planned to hit Skull Cavern on day 38, but the spirits were somewhat annoyed, so I scavenged the copper mines instead, which went pretty well considering. The glue holding Lindsay in place was really working well. Well, it was doing well.
Okay. Hello. What? There she goes again. No! I was trying to eat the food!
That was not very economically advantageous right there, but I did get level 7 combat. The spirits were very happy on the next day, so now it was Skull Cavern time. It was a lovely experience. I did get a rabbit's foot and exactly 1 bomb that I used right here, but I otherwise had to do the caverns by hand today. I did get lucky with a spicy eel drop as well, so with an espresso from the trader, I was now zooming. I also found
a seed maker,
and I ran into a dino floor, during which I finally noticed my mic was messed up.
A way down has appeared. I almost died. I wasn't paying attention.
See? All better now.
A true capitalist knows how to use the entirety of their health bar.
I slurped a bunch of my gold star mayo to fix that mistake, watched one of these tiny slimes drop a whole iridium bar, dealt with Lindsay acting up again, and even found a new house plant in a cave again. I made it to level 33 before having to run home, where I put down my new house plant. My ore stores were starting to look quite nice, profitable even, so I got to smelting. This trash can did something really weird when I checked it today, and I still don't know why. I was on my way to Gunther, because with all those profits building up, I needed to start making donations to secure some juicy tax write-offs. In other words, I wanted to give so I could get that critical sewer key, because I wanted access to Krobus. Clint handed me that sweet steel axe, a nice hunk of coal, and
more tax write-offs.
And hey look, I'll take that. The tapper grind continued with all this copper, and the iridium grind had officially begun, which I was hoarding for now. I spent the rest of the day chopping, since wood was quickly becoming my limiting factor. Level 8 farming, giving the crucial keg recipe. The first oak resins were born on day 41, and I spent the rest of the day searching the caverns for economical opportunities. Lindsay was being a little diva, clinging on for dear life, until she finally quit. I scored a cake along the way from this guy, a prismatic shard I didn't run away from this time, 4 quality sprinklers in this chest, and headed out after a clean 40 levels. Level 9 mining. The 5-pointed profits had officially matured today, so once I'd gathered everything juicy I could sell, including the lovely fruit in question, I liquidated my assets to Clint and Pierre, and felt rich.
Oh yeah.
I immediately reinvested my yield into...
Thank you.
Yep, 194 starfruit on day 42. Business is good, folks. The rest of my day was a desperate attempt to hoe, seed, and water this farm, and this farm, which was a little more complicated, but I pulled it off in time. Then chat reminded me I'd forgotten a scarecrow, but I'd used all my coal. So at the last minute, I made 2 of these to convert wood to coal, which finished just in time. Starfruit round 2, success. With the final moments, I threw down as much basic fertilizer as I could make, and barely made it to bed.
That's capitalism right there. Yeah, baby.
The bloobs were ready on the next day, and I planted what remaining seeds I had with the starfruit hadn't taken over. I sold the extra harvest to Pierre and bought a few melons from him to fill out the rest of the farm, right here to polish things off. I also curated the farm some more, like removing green grass from here so the hen's bluegrass could grow more, and chopping more non-oak wood for keg making. Level 9 farming, and level 6 foraging. I made 13 of them money makers on day 44, and don't they just look beautiful? Added those 4 sprinklers I found down here, bought some peppers to throw down there, and pilfered the farm of its lovely wood till sleep time. I continued pilfering by morning, crafting and placing tappers on the oaks along the way, till both were all done. Then I went chopping wherever else I could for even more wood, featuring finding this book that causes trees to sometimes give extra wood. Level 7 foraging. The 4th stream began with me accidentally starting to juice this squash, so I committed and juiced all the squash I had. I headed into this corner you can't see to chop a log you can't see to enter a path you can't see. But secret woods! I've got access to 12 hardwood per day if I remember to get them. I did more not hardwood chopping, because kegs, and gave Sebastian a gift.
You want something that you would hate?
Remember, I'm evil.
I hate this. Yeah, I know. That's why I gave it to you, you little
Them spirits were very happy the next day. So once I'd nabbed some extra mayo, harvested some more bloobs, and siphoned off more oak resin, 15 in total, I went spelunking for profits once more. I got to level 41 and came away with all these goodies. Level 8 combat. Demetrius sent me a request for a melon the next morning. I grabbed a bit more oak resin, and I crafted 15 more kegs with it. Don't they just look lovely? I finally bought the second and final inventory upgrade on day 48, blessed be, and I used a little knowledge from my first playthrough's comments to snag this book back here. I spent my leftover money on copper ore from Clint, and once I'd concluded a nice smelting session, I made 8 more kegs and mined for more copper and coal for the rest of the day. There were more bloobs the next day, 2 of which I started jellying for fun. 1 more keg, more normal grass scything, more tree chopping, and even some tree planting, which I did basically everywhere that wasn't farmland because I wanted to make sure I had lots of wood growing for even more kegs. With my leftover time, I fished on my farm's river, and overnight, I got a little summer squash juice in the morning, and more resin, and some of those why not hot peppers I'd planted too. As for the explosion, whoa! Now that's quite a bounty. I'd reached a total of 41 kegs at this point, but I had 195 starfruit arriving on summer 27, so I went mining for even more keg materials. Overnight, Mr. Cheat dropped these things on the valley. On day 51, I got really lucky. A green rain had arrived in the valley, and once I'd harvested the green day's bloobs, I realized something.
I just planted a bunch of tree seeds. Oh, they all grew up?
I'd like to say something to the effect of this being an economic strategy, but this was absolutely luck. However, windfalls are to be expected as an entrepreneur, so let's get to work. I elected to chop the trees not on the farm first, since some of the trees on the farm might go back to being oak trees tomorrow, and I still needed heaps of resin. I found a surprise present back here with a prize ticket in it.
Hello? Do I need one of those?
Well, let's hope not. I ended the day with a solid haul and dreamed of level 8 foraging.
Oh, look at this backdrop. That's so cool.
I think that's new, and it looks awesome. The next morning, I got to work on the crazy amount of new trees on the farm, except the oak ones. By the time I chopped all those, I had this much wood, which makes me much more economically viable. Around this time, I'd been mentioning to Chad I wanted to get a top hat, you know, in-game, and they reminded me that the casino has one of those. So, I made some lightning rods to hopefully make batteries. These two are related, I swear. The coffee grind kicked into overdrive today, and I decided to scour the caverns for capital gains for the day. There were a couple of moments along the way, and I got distracted long enough to do one of these ones.
No! What did I lose? I don't really care.
A capitalist can't be stopped by such meager losses, baby. I spent the rest of my day's mining efforts hunting for copper once again, featuring this weird yellow slime that drops 250G, level 10 mining, and this interesting perk I'd heard about, boosting ingot sell prices. So now let's sell some of this iridium I've been saving, shall we? I made 16 more kegs, but somehow metals were still the problem, mainly because I didn't have coal to smelt them. I chopped a few oak that stood in the way of my keg zone, and hunted for more copper and coal to get as many kegs ready for tomorrow's big harvest as possible. I brought the keg total to 65, returning the limiting factor to the coveted oak resin. 65 times 3 is 195, so now I had enough kegs to process all the starfruit in 3 batches. Not bad. And at the last minute, I was hoping to hit 36,000 G by fall 1 for seed money.
We are capitalisming so hard right now.
The fruit of stars arrived on day 55, and the harvest was so satisfying. Once I'd plucked this thing clean and scored some oak resin in my first batteries, I harvested section 2 down here and found myself feeling wealthy. I mean, just look at all this. Now, if you're doing the math, you may have noticed I already have this much worth of starfruit right here, which is more than the remaining Joja development costs. But it's only day 55. Let's see how far we can take this. I queued up some dehydrated melons and sold all the non-starred yield. Sorry, Demetrius. I grabbed a smidge of coal from Clint and brought one of those batteries here to kick off the cheat quest. But the next thing I needed was a rainbow shell, and summer, the only season they can be found, was about to end. Why does this matter, you may be wondering? Because this is how you get access to the casino, and I want a top hat. I made 8 more kegs with a day's extra batch of resin and started slamming starfruit in them things for glorious profits. Level 10 farming and the magnificent Artisan perk. I started regularly checking this cart lady for one such rainbow shell, where I found my first rare seed. I couldn't check the beach for a shell, so after giving George his knee pepper, I bought this melon seed to grow for Demetrius. In my first playthrough, he'd sent a rainbow shell sample in the mail, so just like Pam, it was time to make friends exclusively for economic gain. I also went to Sandy's to buy the 10 beet seeds for the step after the rainbow shell in Cheese Quest, and a bunch of ice cream because chat told me Demetrius loved it. And would you look at that? Top hat strategy re-engaged. I bought some of the best drink ever to celebrate and watched these weird little jellies so the townsfolk could think I still have a heart. Okay, actually that event is so beautiful I couldn't bring myself to skip it, but shh, I'm evil, okay?
We did our evil things all summer long, and it's time to get down to an evil fall.
Day 57 was entirely about setting up the farm for all 360 of these pumpkin seeds. It took all day to do both sections, featuring chat teaching me about farm screenshots to check stuff, and painfully watering all these spots with a base tier watering can. With the help of sweet Joja Cola to fetch water, I got it all done in time.
That was so close!
Yes, it was. These nerds were doing some construction.
You built it from scratch. Yeah, you mean like you put 2 wooden posts in the ground and put a piece of plywood on it or something? It's not like it's some piece of art. It's 2 posts in the ground with 1 board going across it.
I wasn't too enthused, and Lewis hit me with the disappointed father vibes, even chastising me for my me time.
We built this piece of wood from scratch, and now we expect you to give us your time in return. What is this entitlement? That's you're the evil one.
Anyway, so I took a quest. I also donated some rocks for that access to Krobus mission. Tax write-offs. Once I'd popped all my geodes and given old boy his iced cream, I fished for trash for that quest, featuring 2 surprise midnight carp, one of which dropped
Ancient Seed!
Nice. I polished off that quest in the morning, snagged my first legendary fish of the playthrough on my first try, and made a few more tactical donations, including the Ancient Seed to kick off Ancient Seed production. I got a prize ticket for my trash efforts, where I had to explain to Lewis that I'm only in it for the prizes. He seemed to get the message this time. I'm evil, Lewis. How is this confusing? I got broccoli seeds for this ticket, and went home to give these evil ladies their very own statue. I added 7 more kegs to the farm, in which I started brewing coffee. I spent the rest of the day fishing for seaweed. By night, I was told about this dresser, where I can apparently store all the clothes and rings I find.
Level 8 fishing, alright.
Linus mailed me the fiber seeds recipe for the trash quest. Thanks, Linus. I'd gotten that seaweed so I could make one of these because I had a plan cooking. And I made this impulse buy because these small chests are so last update. I had Clint steal my hoe. I knew she wasn't loyal anyway. I bought out on coal and hunted for even more copper, all the way until this thing sprinkled weird stuff on my farm. Level 9 foraging though.
Day 5 pumpkins is kinda crazy.
You know, it kinda is. I got 2 more ancient seeds on the grind as well. Lovely news. I gathered up the day's resin, bought one of all of Fall's seeds, and an extra amaranth for Marnie, and picked up all the pumpkins to try and grow more with regular speed grow. I hadn't thought to get deluxe speed grow for this season, sadly, but at least this little patch could go the distance for a triple harvest now. But I removed these spots due to some fertilizer already being there, and Clint still had my hoe. Loyalty. I crafted some big chests to replace these little ones. So much more room. And I once again hunted for ore. This time iron and coal specifically, where I did score dwarf scroll number 4.
Oh, Now that is some capitalism right there. I started making the layout of these things more efficient and threw more glorious profits into them, including 15 new ones I added afterwards. Apparently, a new mechanic got added since I perfected my first playthrough of the game, so at the advice of both YouTube comments and Twitch chat, I threw my new legendary angler in this pond to see how this would work out. And then, it was time. Can I interest you in 73 star... My capitalism was paying off like nobody's business. I made this purchase immediately, but I could only do one at a time. So I processed all my geodes for donatables, bought 200 much needed coal, and turned in all these things to score more rewards. Once I was done rolling around in my piles of money, I added 11 more lovely kegs and planted those fall crop seeds, mostly in this new part I'd added to farm section 2. Just before sleep, I crowned pumpkins in the newest additions to the keg army. And overnight, Morris got his guys out there to get that greenhouse built, baby. Is that how the raccoon thing is supposed to start? That new farmland got its sprinklers next morning, and the greenhouse was finally operational. I got a little too excited when setting this thing up, and I forgot to leave room for the sprinklers. Rest in pieces, little ones. I bought some of this stuff for the plants I didn't destroy, and had my good man Morris get to work on the minecarts next. I was also quite done with the mining for more copper thing, so I made an investment. And now, I have a lot more furnaces. This was my temporary workaround for my greenhouse oopsie, but it allowed me to not destroy the single seed crops I couldn't repurchase and fully automate the watering, so let's call it good enough. I polished off the other sprinklers for it by nighttime. Look at those Joja boys go. I got my first angler row on day 64, which I sold straight away to see its sell price later. I used my new mine carts to quickly order a fresh new gold axe, and I made a couple other tactical investments while I was there. I made one more to the beloved Jojaco's efforts, I made yet another at Sandy's, and put that greenhouse to work. With the crazy smelting, I caught up to my resin supply, adding 15 more kegs in the pipeline. Today's cream of ice brought Demetrius to 1 heart, so I can officially start getting gifts in the mail from him. I took Gus's egg quest on the way to the beach, where I fished for seaweed for the rest of the day. Look at them Joja boys getting it done. And that angler row had promise. I made a new donation the next day, and cleared the rocks of the newly available quarry. I took a break from the breaking to give Rainbow Shell Man ice cream again, and sold some of the gold mayo I'd been hoarding for energy regen to be able to commission a new fish pond from Robin. Once I'd returned to and finished the quarry rocks, I started setting my sights on some specific crafting materials. Today's resin allowed for 4 new kegs, and today's capitalism allowed for a dive in Skull Cavern, where I looted this new hammer weapon. -2 speed, +6 speed. Strange, but alright. Chat taught me about a weird hammer thing where if you spam normal attack during the special attack, holy strange, but alright. I was testing my luck a lot with it, and I bit off a bit more than I could chew, but I didn't really lose all that much. I sold a little pumpkin juice that had finished in my absence, queued up a little more, and slept off my wounds, during which I heard a big tree fall. My minor haul had smelted overnight. I snagged my new gold axe from Clint, sold him my spare gems, sold Pierre my mayo hoard, and bought as much deluxe speed grow as I could afford. I threw some down in the starfruit zone of the greenhouse to get them things going, and went to work on the quarry project. I made a bunch of gravel paths, and began my evil industrialization of this place. By the time night fell, I had a nice grid with some acorns in it. I tossed a midnight carp in this fish pond for now, though I had bigger plans for it later. I got in the secret woods habit starting today, because I also had big plans for hardwood. I made some tree fertilizer, and 24 more kegs with today's resin yield, and right on time. Ooh, the starfruit wine is finishing today. Liquid money, baby. Oops. Oh, did I drop that? That's my bad. I ordered the final Joja development project with this new cash flow, and excitedly fertilized my new trees, hoping for some good news on the morrow. Look at them boys go. The angler gave me 4 roe in the morning, but I still had no news on the Jojaco business. I spent some of the day clearing the farm of all trees, since I now had a dedicated oak farm on the rise. I also spent some time sweating my Joja achievement, looking for something I might have missed. I threw the leftover starfruit in my kegs down here, and Willie gave me this useless pan. I ordered a barn from Robin to go here,
snagged some cheap resources from her, and bought one of these to make crafting easier. I procured a bunch of copper from Clint while I was at it, planted some more acorns at the quarry, and did a little rearranging, featuring some new signs on my fish ponds. Some of those fall crops are ready, and I smelted a bunch of copper before sleep. Pumpkin Day had arrived next morning, and Willie sent me a very promising letter. The angler was putting in work, so I got to work too, chucking these things in kegs as I went. I had this many left after all the kegs were filled. On the way to get seeds, the Joja questions were finally answered.
There he is, everyone. Look sharp. This is so corporate, I love it. Just a few short years ago, the great innovators at Joja headquarters came up with a new idea, the Joja Community Development Project. The project was conceived as a way to provide important construction services to the beloved communities we hold so dear, all while generating substantial revenue. Pelican Town, with its rundown infrastructure, was the perfect testing ground. Well, thanks to you, our community development pilot program has been a major success. From repairing old bridges to fixing buses to turning piles of rubble into a greenhouse, we've really turned the city around. I've also received a big promotion. The president of the company asked me to give you this exclusive gift as a way of saying thanks. Joja Code Member of the Year, baby! We done did it, and we got ourselves a soda machine. That sounds about right to me.
Achievement unlocked, be the best Joja man I can be. And who needs a trophy when we can put one of these things on display? I added 6 more scrumptious kegs and went to Joja.
Oh, auto pepper.
I refrained from buying any auto peppers for now, opting instead for the next batch of pumpkin seeds. Then my best friend told me about more opportunities for capitalism. Apparently there was another development opportunity, and this one was going to cost a cool 500,000 G. Looks like there's more to do here than I thought. Willie told me about his boat, and I wanted to help, because this was an investment opportunity. I invested also in this fish smoker recipe, this iridium rod, some bait, and 10 crab pots, because more money is more money. I planted my pumpkins and chopped trees for the rest of the night. My soda machine seemed to be one of those lovely morning producers, good news. I couldn't find Robin today, but I gave Demetrius his cream. 2 hearts now. Marnie was also MIA. I took this quest on the way to Clint, who wasn't missing. I ordered the gold digging hoe from him. I gave Gus eggs for that quest, check. And I bumped into the monster who got her amaranth, check again. I followed her home, but she still wouldn't sell me anything.
Marnie!
Turns out Robin was still here, so I took a page out of her book and started whacking wood. Gus sent this fridge I can't use, like literally at all. I started putting tappers on the trees at the quarry, finished up planting acorns there, and went to the Stardew Valley Fair because I want this thing. I made my grains out of these items, won first place to score 1,000 tokens, and after fiddling with the fair games, I ended up taking chat's advice.
Put 300 on green, mister.
I did this about 30 times, and had enough to buy everything, including this lovely thing, which reminded me
Of evil.
welcome, folks, to the Fedora era of evil shenanigans. I got my first aged angler roe, which sells for a pretty penny. The luck was very happy on day 73, so it was spelunking time. I went to buy bombs for a better run, but I still couldn't talk with this guy. Oops. I did my best with very few bombs, finding this
Dark cowboy hat. Oh, yeah.
That fedora era ended quickly. Welcome to the cowboy hat era. I also found the wizard's prismatic jelly down here. Level 9 combat. I smelted my haul next morning, adding a couple furnaces in the process, and re-upped my glorious pumpkin juice machine. The greenhouse was ready too, so I gathered all of this goodness too. I started stealing everyone's carved pumpkins. I gotta keep up the monopoly after all, and ordered a big coupe from Robin. More ice to be nice, and a melon for his quest. Check. And now we're at 3 hearts.
Oops.
That juice put me over 1 million total earnings, so if you didn't comment for Lindsay, comment Easy Mill to make up for it, or do both for bonus points. I slapped down the rest of my tappers on this now rather mature farm, and took my fresh iridium to Willie, where I turned in everything for his boat. I kept up these traps, fixed this bridge, stole more pumpkins for my pumpkin supremacy, handed this guy his jelly, check, displayed my pumpkins, made my first crystallarium, which I filled with jade, and set up some new fences for the animals. Overnight, my most recent investments paid off. Demetrius finally sent me something in the mail, but it was just a cooking recipe. The wizard sent the more useful monster musk recipe though. I got a few extra crops from this extra section, and my first midnight carp row on day 75. I bought 4 cows as well. Welcome Evil Rutabo, Evil Shih Tzu, Evil Chanabo, and Evil Pearly to the farm. The recent prize tickets netted me this fruit sampling. I retrieved my gold hoe and gave him my pickaxe to be iridiumed. I bought a bunch of coal and iron, turned in some geode proceeds, fixed this spot in my greenhouse, planted the fruit tree in the corner, chopped the last non-hardwood trees on the farm, and scythed a bunch more non-bluegrass. I queued up 1 hops in one of the new kegs I'd made, and passed out putting starfruit in the others. The 6th and final stream kicked off with another cheeky investment at Sandy's, and a checkup on that boat I'd supplied. Since I'd taken the Joja Route, I could actually get this boat fixed before winter, so here I was in fall of year 1 on Ginger Island. I hunted down every walnut I could dig up, since I remembered their spots from editing this massive video, and got enough to unlock this path, which led to Ginger Island's farm. How about that? Let's capitalize. My pickaxe was still at Clint's, but I cleared everything else, grabbed a few more nuts, including the cocoa kind, and took a nap in this tent thingy I found. I somehow got 2 more gold coconuts next morning, and found my very first lost book. Gunther, how'd this get all the way over here? I went home to craft a whole bunch of sprinklers, where I hired new duck ladies to work on the farm. Meet Evil Gunu, Evil Propy, Evil Ninano, and Evil Snee Snee. Also, I got these because who has time to grab? Not me, I'm capitalisming. Pam got her pale ale, though I still hadn't gotten any batteries. Caroline got her pumpkin because I'll eventually get the tea, sis. Check and check. I requisitioned my iridium pickaxe and popped my coconuts, getting these things. Then it was back to the island, where I cleared the rest of the farmland, featuring some other nut findings, and set to work on making this place a proper money-making machine. And by night, I got all them starbs planted, along with a couple extras. I woke from another tent to admire my good work, and did a bit more nut hunting. I blitzed through the volcano, getting nuts along the way, and learned I couldn't talk to this dwarf either. Through the power of Mayo, I made it all the way to the end, even scoring
An ostrich egg? Shut up.
I'd reached the forge, where I used the prismatic shard here to enchant my sword with.
Bug killer? Am I happy about that? Did that make me happy?
Doesn't sound like it. But my efforts had netted me enough nuts to initiate construction on my new land, though I didn't remember to actually sleep in it.
This is my first kitchen of the playthrough.
That is so strange. I also had enough nuts for this bridge, where I freed P. Snail and started giving him fossils. Back in the valley, I took this quest to hopefully make Demetrius like me more, and Pam finally sent something, but again, it wasn't an item. Come on guys, I'm trying to exploit you. The pumpkin juice was ready, along with more angler roe, which got a new jar today, and I ran out of things to put in kegs. That'll change soon. I spent the night fishing for friendship. I'd finished up that quest as I passed out. Check. And Demetrius sent me another stupid recipe. Demetrius, I want a rainbow shell. I added new mayo machines for the on-site labor and ordered them a deluxe coupe. More cream, give shell. You understand? This guy ranted about his ex-wife, and I went fishing for lava eel with this bait Willie had sold me, but came up empty. I went mining for gold for more sprinklers, featuring finding this strange sword, and made another considerable investment in starfruit seeds. I gave the big tree stump its 100 hardwood to fix up, in the hopes of attracting new customers to the valley. I spent the morning of day 81 hoeing it up in the mines, hoping to dig up dwarf scroll number 2, but didn't get lucky. More cream, give shell. I topped up on deluxe speed grow, made some more jars for roe, dropped off this doll I'd found while hoeing it up, and went back to the island, where I sized up the starfruit operations dramatically. I ended up with more fertilized spots than starfruit to plant because I'm still a goober, just an evil one. I built a fence around the seeds to keep them safe.
No weeds.
And I watered as much as I could with my still base tier watering can. It rained the next day, blessed be these prophets, and I executed a corporate move. After picking up a few new wines and rows, I started picking up my farm sprinklers from section 1, as these had already been watered for today and would be harvestable tomorrow. It was time to reallocate my resources. The newest labor had grown into adults, and the coop was ready to auto-feed, so this was officially passive income. The oak resin farm was rolling at this point too, and I added a few more tappers. Yep, 39 more kegs. The empire grows. I got distracted too long by my new adult cows as well, and forgot to actually go to the island to reallocate my resources, so that would have to wait till tomorrow. Ouchie. I also noticed I'd forgotten to replant my greenhouse. Double ouchie. I immediately acquired new assets to remedy this one. There, that's better. Just before bed, I made my first cheese presses of the playthrough. I harvested my unsprinkled pumpkins, chucked them in where they'd fit, and had this many to spare. On my way to finally reallocate my assets, I was stopped. I can't get to the boat because of the Spirits Eve festival. Triple ouchie.
Oh man, starfruit.
And no, I couldn't make a totem. I didn't have the coral.
I am, as they say, cooked, chat.
This juice finished though, so I at least got more of my produce in the pipeline. I made a new Jade crystallarium with the time, along with a 4th cheese press, and caught my first ghost fish. I made a couple purchases at the festival, spoke specifically to this man, scored the golden pumpkin, and took this new shortcut back out. I kicked off Fall's End with some new cheese, then I finally returned to Ginger Island, where I reallocated my assets. Vile Farm didn't need these anymore anyway, so this was definitely the move. I expanded a bit with the extra assets in question, and finished up with the farm looking like this. Then I spent some time cursing myself for not investing in my watering can. But eventually, I got them all watered one last time. I got my first taro roots as winter began, and then went to the valley to actually experience winter. The farm was all gone, but the kegs were still here, baby. This sweet gemberry was finished, which I promptly handed to this statue you can almost see.
The taste reminds you of evil.
Sounds yummy, right? I held up this thick book, queued up some more roe, cleaned up my rotten pumpkin supremacy, threw down a few powder melon seeds I'd found, along with the torches I'd picked up from section 1, and scrounged once again in the mines for dwarf scroll number 2.
Hey, already?
And I found it on the first floor I checked.
Well, that's capitalism at work.
That night, the gamer dreams brought level 10 foraging and the delightful botanist perk. I gave Demetrius ice cream in winter and ran into this guy. I followed him to this bush where I secured the magnifying glass for secret note nonsense. I also turned in that scroll and instantly learned Dwarvish. Gotta be multilingual to tap into multiple markets, baby. I had Clint start fixing this detestable watering can of mine, and I decided to take a crack at my next legendary fish, but without any boosts or tackle, I couldn't land her. I made one of these trap bobbers to help, and after 2 more fails, I hooked her again. It was a 2.5 minute long fight with plenty of swearing, but eventually...
Moly! Dang! Now that is called capitalism.
Winter legendary fish? Check. Remind me never to do that without buffs again. Time to move out, Midnight Carp. This is evil glacierfish's home. Pumpkin juice. I ran completely out of pumpkins whilst re-kegging, but more starfruit was due to arrive. The first 4 glacierfish roe arrived already, mere hours after catching it. I ordered the big barn upgrade for the milk, make, and farm labor, and gave Big D more ice, bringing us to 5 hearts. Interesting how I have received 0 samples so far, Demetrius. I bought 2 auto peppers, 1 for each of my buildings, and went to Willie to inquire about that roe's sale price.
The roe is 530? The roe is 530?
The roe is 530. So, once I put heaters and peppers down in both buildings, I put down 12 new preserves jars so I could stay on top of roe production. Then I spent the rest of the night fishing for XP and scored level 9 fishing in my dreams. I've been grinding coffee in my empty kegs, staying up to date with the roe, and picking up the good stuff every morning, but today was a desert day. I bought a bunch of deluxe speed grow and a bunch of starfruit because I want more money. Just as I dropped into the caverns, I realized I'd forgotten to get bombs. You know, the whole point of finding Dwarf Scroll 2. Once I'd gone to this guy, bought the safety manual and a bunch of cherry bombs because I was being stingy, I went back to try again at a whopping 11:30 a.m. I got some cloth from mummies, and
I got bug killer. Can I kill you now? Oh, I can!
So that's what that does. Nice. I used the cherries to best effect, but the small blast radius just didn't provide as many ladders as proper bombs. In the end, I made it to level 48 with meager results. Emily accosted me at my door, probably because I found cloth on mummies. You sure you want me to put this in your sewing machine, girly? I made a proper investment today, and I hustled around with totems to order the deluxe barn. Then I totemed home because I was out of desert totems. Once Pam had driven me back, and I bought more desert totes, I began a cavern dive on this very happy spirits day at 10:20 a.m. with real boy bombs. I aggressively used my leftover cherry bombs to clear the early levels as quickly as possible, which was a generally successful strat. I skipped spiral rooms when I came across them, thanks to the large chunk of stone I was farming up. I ran out of cherry bombs on this level, where I scored a prismatic shard and swapped to the real boy variants. I remembered at level 54 to show my depth, and apparently the number zooms out along with the game. I got this secret note during the plunge.
Could not have gotten that quest at a better time.
Let's make it count, shall we?
15 levels. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
It was a healthy endeavor.
I want to have health. I chug mayo. That's right, I drink instruments.
And at 12:30 a.m.
Woo!
Mr. Chi praised my lack of staircase usage. Guess I'm just too sneaky evil for him to have noticed the 3 I used in spiral rooms. But let's not talk about the snilk. In the end, I had a successful iridium day and passed out on level 104 next to a bomb that would never go off. I had scored 182 iridium ore, so my money from ore brain was satisfied for now. My aged glacierfish roe was ready. My next batch of oak resin was too, 49 to be exact. So wood was now back to being the problem for future keg production. Clint gave me this slightly less wretched thing, along with as much coal as I could afford, while still being able to afford an island ticket. I caught my first pufferfish on the island's pier and checked on
starfruit.
Yup, let us harvest. I ended up pulling 5 walnuts up along with my profits, and actually ran out of seeds to replant. So I left those stars right there, as not to waste the fertilizer, and brought these home, after snagging much needed wood from the island and doing a little night fishing.
During the night, evil Rotebo gave birth to a baby cow.
Say hello to Evil Jatsino, and say hello to that aged glacierfish bro sale price. I guessed right on Snail's flower survey in the morning, and remembered this one was 18. Back in the valley, Pierre showed up.
So your first year in Stardew Valley is almost over, huh? God, just look in the left corner of this screen.
And I think that Joja machine might have offended him. Too bad, profit time, baby. I filled all my kegs, so I made 28 more, harvested my bounty of iridium, ordered the copper trash can, and had Clint open up things to get helpful stuff. With recent efforts, I donated a bunch more things to the museum and went to Sandy to make an investment. However, I wasn't sure any new starfruit would actually finish in time for day 100, so I withheld my funds for now. I did get the wood though, and I actually remembered to use my Jade today. By night, I made a few last-minute kegs, finished turning this new ancient fruit yield into seeds, harvested the greenhouse's starfruit bounty, and planted the seeds here. Gunther swung by to give me the rusty key next morning, so I headed down to the bowels of the town and met my fellow capitalist, Krobus. He opened up the dark talisman pathway, sold me 2 void eggs, and sold me my 4th star drop. And I couldn't help but think
Of evil.
I quickly retrieved the talisman too, and then made a mistake.
No. What?
Yep, that day's gone.
Alright, well, give me the rare crow then.
That night, I started incubating 1 void egg and mayonnaised the other. Somebody finally sent me something on day 93, but somehow it was Pam and not a battery. What are these hearts even for, Demetrius? I spent some time chopping, visited the island to harvest this massive yield, took care of a few last-minute nut-related activities, and returned to give this unhelpful guy more cream. I made a final installment of kegs, since kegging anything after today wouldn't make it in time. I quickly caught one of these, and spent the rest of the day doing more chopping because Chad made an interesting suggestion. Okay, just a few more kegs, but I'm done now, I promise. That suggestion was dehydrators. They aren't as efficient as kegs, but they're fast, processing 5 fruit per machine in only 1 day. Only one problem, I need fire quartz to make those, and I'd smelted most of mine to make refined quartz. I sought out all the wood I could, including purchasing some from Robin, hijacked my row stations for starfruit jelly production, snagged my copper trash can and coal from Clint, and smelted my gold, because I had a plan. I scavenged the mines for fire quartz, including trying to reset the floors, which you can apparently do. I'm not sure if I was doing it right, but I had 0 luck in finding any fiery boys.
This might be beyond my level of capitalism. We might be reaching critical mass here.
So I defaulted instead to my gold strat. I made 6 new crystallaria and passed out. I put them here in the morning, filled them with fire quartz, bought the dehydrator recipe from Pierre, fished up my first lingcod for funsies, and watched the town enjoy my eggs I gave to Gus.
Vile eggs. That's right. I hope you're enjoying your vile eggs.
I got a star drop tea from a new prize ticket and began my dehydrator army with the remaining quartz. Can I process my 250 remaining starfruit in 5 days with this strat? Stay tuned. I got my void mayo today, so I watched this thing fly away, handed lil bro his void mayo, grabbed the magic ink, and handed it to the wizard. He gave me access to this special book where I could now summon the endgame farm buildings with the right ingredients. I was surprised to see Junimo huts on there, since I thought I'd run them darn varmints off already. I spent the night fishing for more fishing XP. My 8-a-day allowance of fire quartz began on day 96, and I made 8 dehydrators with it. This is gonna be close. The Squid Fest had begun, so I continued my fishing XP grind, and scored all the Squid Fest loot by night. More quartz, more dehydrators, and more jelly. Now I'm down to this many. I made Monster Musk to help with my combat level, as fishing and combat were the only 2 still at level 9. Speaking of levels, this dude, despite being at 6 hearts, completely failed me. He sent me 0 things. We have beef, Demetrius. You will rue the day you crossed me. I caught my first sandfish, and after a couple of fails, and Lindsay's inevitable betrayal, I decided to return later for the scorpion carp. I stole one of Pam's signs because some things never change, and I gathered my final yield from my keg investments. but I passed out on the way to sell it. Fire quartz, dehydrators, more dried starfruits, more wine even, a few powder melons for fun, but then I remembered there was more starfruit in here, and a few ancient fruit. I dehydrated what I could, jellied what I couldn't, and
bam, bam, bam.
yeah, that's gonna be a lot. But then I remembered there's still more here too. And it looks like some finishes tomorrow. I dehydrated this stuff too, made myself a fish smoker, smoked a single perch, and came back with a trap bobber and soup, and this cute little duck from Willie, and caught the scorpion carp on my first try of the day. Evil Bato hatched, and looked the part. I entered mass process mode, taking all the processors outside, making sure everything gets processed. I gave this raccoon the smoked perch he wanted, and fished in the river for fishing XP, during which I found this book. I also smoked and sold that annoying little scorpion carp, and overnight, I made almost a whole million in one night. Capitalism at its finest.
Mr. Morris.
Time to invest.
$500,000!
You better believe it, Morris. I've overtaken your meager understanding of capitalism, you silly pawn. I mean, yeah, that's right, buddy. Looking forward to seeing what you guys make tomorrow.
I detect profits.
Now, I have all the starfruit I'd planted. I queued up all I could dehydrate, hoping to be ready to sell by tomorrow, and sold the rest. I fished in a bubble spot in the submarine by night, caught the exclusives, and fell asleep in that very sub. Overnight, Joja got their guys out there one last time, and lo and behold,
Level 10 fishing.
Day 100 was upon me, and so was the last of my beautiful processed assets.
Demetrius officially, on record, did not send me a single sample.
I'm not salty. Who's salty? Not me.
It's not that complicated, people. It's all about what makes the world go round, isn't it? Money. We are going to sell everything. And when I say everything, you better batten down them hatches. I damn well mean everything.
And I meant it. Absolutely everything I could sell was getting sold.
We selling everything.
It all had to go.
That's right, I'm selling everything. But am I selling everything? The answer is yes.
Everything had to go.
Oh, doggy, I'm selling everything.
Nothing was safe.
I'm selling everything.
It all had to go.
I'm selling everything.
Not even the hay was safe.
I'm selling everything.
Not even the ostrich egg.
I'm selling everything. Get out of here.
Not even the animals. We're laying off the labor.
I'm selling it all. I'm selling everything.
With my farm barren and my buildings empty and my chests pilfered, I spent my final hours of day 100 pilfering the mines for the combat XP to become a master of the 5 ways, but didn't quite pull it off. Master of the 4 ways, which is half to do. I spent my final minutes selling what I didn't use in the mines.
I done sold everything.
But at 1:50 a.m., this jelly down here finished, and I passed out like any true capitalist, still desperately trying to sell everything.
And that's what it's like to play 100 Days of Stardew Valley as a Joja Corporation villain.
And my, how evil they were. I capitalismed my way to almost 4 million G and bought every single upgrade Joja had to offer. Lindsay held on strong to the end, mostly. And if you're here, so did you. And I appreciate it. If you're itching for another villainous 100 days, let me know down in the comments. And subscribe for more content coming your way soon. And in the meantime, take a look at this video to see my very first playthrough of Stardew. A blind playthrough all the way to perfection.